Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the NDIS Circle. Sascha is joining us today. Sascha is a former lawyer turned surfing mentor and has made it his mission to share the transformative power of the ocean with others. With the encouragement of his partner Lily, Sascha's embraced his true calling, guiding individuals including people with disability and NDIS participants to develop confidence and access the healing potential of the ocean. At Sascha's surf experience, it's not just about riding waves, it's about discovering a renewed sense of self. And we're excited to dive into your journey today. Welcome to the podcast, Sascha.
Thanks for having me, Dan. Appreciate it.
No worries. And we caught up probably a month or two ago, had a really good chat, and I just loved your whole journey and love what Sascha's surf experience is about. So I wanted to get you onto the podcast and delve a little bit deeper into it. So maybe we could start off. Sascha, you're previously a lawyer. You've transitioned to teaching surfing full time. Tell us a little bit about your previous career as a lawyer and how you've ended up where you've ended up.
Yeah, so look, prior to the surf experience, I was a lawyer working for a national law firm, Moray and Agnew, and I was focusing on insurance litigation, so workers' compensation claims, personal injury and industrial disease claims. I enjoyed being a lawyer and had worked with a fantastic team, but in around sort of early to mid last year, I had just started feeling real burnout. I was working long hours and at the same time I was coping with the loss of my brother who had passed away in a tragic accident in 2020. And that combined with all the burnout was really catching up on me. Surfing's always been an outlet for me when dealing with difficult issues, but I was finding I was doing less and less of that and more of the working side of things, which was catching up on me. So May last year, I sort of decided enough was enough. And after having a discussion with my partner, Lily, we decided it was best for me to probably step away from the law for a while, have a break, and of course check in to myself from the point of view of my mental health, but also take time to consider sort of what my next step would be and how my journey will look, both personally and professionally. So I approached my law firm and they were really supportive and left the door open for me to come back whenever I'd like. And by June last year, I was out the door, and the initial plan was just to go surfing and sort of relax and figure out where I was at. And it was absolutely fantastic. I went surfing, and being able to surf without the stresses of all the work, it felt like I was a kid again. I felt re-energized, and it was through doing that I felt sort of confident again, which I'd lost when you're sort of buried in your work, doing one thing after the other and not being able to check yourself. And so with that confidence, I started thinking about, okay, well, sort of what's next? And it was also an opportunity for me to be able to really reflect on my journey up until this point. And I remembered how much I loved teaching surfing, having taught loved ones like my partner, Lily. One of my favourite jobs I've ever had was in law school, where I was taking uni friends' younger siblings surfing on their school holidays, and that was fantastic. So it became apparent pretty quickly that whatever I was going to do next from, say, a working standpoint, I wanted surfing to be a part of it. The idea of teaching surfing, again, in some capacity, had been in the back of my mind, and I had completed an MBA a few years earlier. So starting a business was something I'd also been thinking about, but I wasn't really sure how that would look and when I would do that. And that's why it was great to be able to have this time away to think about what I wanted to do. However, really, it wasn't the concept of Sascha's surf experience didn't really start until I had the fantastic opportunity of doing some work with, and I think I mentioned this to you before, with Carney's Training, who are operated by Marcus Carney, my brother-in-law, and his partner Nadej. And they do fantastic work with NDIS participants, helping them with everything from daily living, community engagement, customised employment. And it was through this work I was able to work closely with people with disabilities for the first time in my life. And I saw a real opportunity for how bringing or incorporating surfing and the ocean in their daily lives could have a significant impact on them as it has had on me.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. Sometimes you get caught up in the grind a little bit, don't you? The routine, and you need some time away to figure out what's important to you and to remember that. And you mentioned that sort of that childlike joy that can go missing sometimes as an adult when you get caught up in life's responsibilities. So Yeah, that's awesome. That's obviously your vocation, your passion is surfing, and you found a way
Oops,
to
I've lost you there.
combine that in a way that you can also make an income from.
You said about taking that time to think about where you're at. I think that's so important. And the trouble is when we're suffering from burnout, it's the time we most need to take some time away to consider where we're at. And often that's when we're not, because we're doing whatever it is we need to do that's causing us to be in that burnout. So I'd recommend to anyone, if you can, take a minute just to take a breath and think where you're at.
Yeah. Were there any doubts to you, like obviously leaving a really steady, I'm assuming, good income job, everyone would go, did you have any doubts from family and friends or from yourself leaving that sort of like stability to open a business and taking on that additional risk? And how did you sort of have that internal conversation to take the leap?
Yeah, look, that's a good question, because when you're working in organisations, and especially in a big organisation like I was, there's a number of hurdles you need to jump over to get into those organisations. When I started at Maureen Agnew 3 or 4 years ago, my reference was one of the senior partners there from a previous period of employment that I worked with him, and he still, even though he worked at the firm, had to provide a letter to the head office in Sydney as to why it'd be worthwhile having me join. In this day and age, there are so many hoops you need to hop through just to even get a job in a place you may want to work. So, and stepping away from that, of course, can be daunting and scary. I mean, it was fantastic to have the opportunity and the support from the great team and a fantastic managing partner there to say, look, take your time, and if you want to come back in whatever capacity, we'd welcome you. So that was reassuring. But having support from your loved ones, everyone, and especially Lily, was extremely encouraging of me to take this step. And I think that really needs to be noted, because when you're stressed and when you're overwhelmed, you're not thinking clearly often. And for me, the idea of even stepping away from the law, if I hadn't had this discussion with Lily at the time, I wouldn't have even thought that was an option. But with her support, her saying, look, why don't you take some time to check yourself? All of a sudden I thought, that's actually what I need. And immediately it felt like bricks had been taken off my shoulders. So obviously when you do take that step into an area that's new, it's exciting, but it's the unknown that's a bit scary. And of course it requires lots of planning, but no matter how much you plan, you're always going to run into some unexpected challenges. We were just talking before starting this about with the social media and marketing and trying to make everything work. I mean, I had no prior experience with doing any of that sort of stuff with the reels and the content. So that took a lot of time to work on, which I wasn't anticipating or didn't factor in. IT issues, when all of a sudden Microsoft's not working and you can't send emails or receive emails. I was very spoilt working for a big law firm. The IT manager was in the office next to me. So whenever I'd have an issue, I'd just knock on his door. He'd fix it. I'd grab a coffee, come back. Very different when you're starting your own business.
I had a very similar experience working for the government for the previous 6 years, basically, before I started my business, where there was a whole IT department and you got that side of things taken care of. And then you open your own business, it's like, oh, no one is here to fix this but me.
Yeah, but like I say, it's almost like riding waves. You then figure out how to overcome those challenges. And in my case, with my IT scenario, I actually rang an IT service that I worked with many years before, and he's been fantastic in helping me every step of the way now, especially with my constant calls about things that most other people probably know how to deal with immediately on a computer.
Yeah, I would say for people, I think that scares a lot of people. It scared me, like starting a business. Oh, I'm not very good at IT. I'm not very good at finance. Or like, I feel as a business owner, you need to have an understanding of all the areas, but you can always outsource things. Like you said, you can get an IT person to come in and help you. You can get bookkeepers if invoicing isn't your thing. There's always stuff you can outsource and make work and sort of focus on your zone of specialty. Have you found that in your business as well? Things you're not good at, well, I can, have some understanding and I can bring someone else in.
Absolutely. And it's also knowing what someone had mentioned to me, something that I thought was so important when starting your own business, is they asked, are you a perfectionist? And I said, yeah, I am. I like to get everything, perfect. perfect as can be. Nothing's ever perfect. And he has said, well, with any task you're doing, think about, does this need to be perfect? Does it just need to be okay? Or does it just need to be done? And the night before, I'd spent about 4 hours trying to figure out how in my email signature to add a little click link if you hit the Instagram. And that was something I clearly spent far too long doing and should have just made a quick phone call to my IT guy who did it, immediately. Time management's so important, and being efficient and outsourcing where you can. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's what I've done. But that's part of that journey, right? Like you said, you were previously working for the government, myself working for a big firm. You have all that support, and you tend to take it for granted. So then when you're starting out, you think, okay, no, I'll figure this out. I'll get this. I could talk about how many issues I've had along the way, even setting up my own GoDaddy account. And by the time I got it done, you tend to do all these things also that you don't want to do later in the day when you're tired. And so that's another thing. Get done what you need to get done. That's difficult first thing, and which is now what I always do after a surf. But I ended up finally figuring out how to create my GoDaddy at Sascha Surf Experience sort of account. And then I did it Sascha without the SS for Sascha Surf Experience, and just I had to throw the towel in at about 1 a.m.
Yeah, I've definitely had situations like that. What's that saying? Like, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And the 80-20 rule, like, if it's sometimes things do need to be perfect and you need to spend the time on them, but it's also important to understand when things just need to be good and they need to get done, or to bring in people that they live and breathe IT, or they live and breathe invoicing. Okay, well, let's get them in, and you can focus on what you do best. So you transitioned from your legal career to surfing, Sascha. When you did that, were you thinking, I'm going to be supporting people with disabilities at that point, or was that something that sort of evolved after you sort of commenced Sascha Surf Experience?
Yeah, so what I guess always a focus of Sascha Surf Experience when I was creating it would be to provide opportunities to people in the community who otherwise were less likely than others to be able to go surfing and enjoy the ocean and get the great benefits from it. So that was a focus, and having that fantastic opportunity of working with Carney's training and working closely with people with disabilities, I was able to see the number of challenges they faced and things we take for granted, like just hopping in your car, driving down to the beach. Perth's got a fantastic coastline, but a lot of these people can't even get down to the beach, don't have a car, can't drive, don't have a job to be able to pay for even the equipment to start surfing if they wanted. So I could see that these people certainly, I thought, I want them to be part of the experience and also focus on this group. And I would like to say that my brother-in-law, Marcus, was a huge support in helping me sort of guide my thoughts on exactly where I wanted to go with the surf experience. He was fantastic in helping me sort of set up the business plan. And as I've mentioned to you previously, the surf experience, it's open to people from all backgrounds, which is really important about what I'm trying to offer, is a community where it doesn't matter if you're a person living with disabilities or not, you can come together and be treated equally and just enjoy surfing together. But yes, it was through that work with Carney's, I thought, working with NDIS participants, I think, is important here.
Yeah, okay, so it's open to all members of the community, but you're really focusing on bringing opportunity to people that might be facing sort of those systemic barriers to engaging, like social isolation. It's not just about surfing, it's not just about the ocean, like we've spoken before. It's about that the whole experience, like driving up and down the coast, seeing where the waves are, having a chat, having a coffee, forming connections within the local surfing community. And you mentioned your community days. Maybe you could expand a little bit more about those. You've had a few so far, haven't you? Yeah,
so the community days are fantastic. So they're an opportunity for anyone in the community to come down and see what we're doing and learn about surfing and the ocean. So it's sort of an awareness day. And at these events, they are run by our experienced NDIS participants and our experienced surf mentors. So How they look is people will come down. Generally, a tutorial's done by experienced NDIS participant who will do a land tutorial of how to pop up and stand on the surfboard and do that to the group. And then we'll, for those who want to, enter the water. And our NDIS participants and our mentors together will work as a group with different people in the water, help them catch waves. And then after, it's an opportunity where we'll often have an esky down on the beach with, your master chocks, always love a milk drink after a surf, and for everyone just to sort of debrief on the session. And the feedback I've had is even people just coming down who don't want to come surfing or go in the water have a fantastic time at these days. So it's a great opportunity for people to meet and connect at the beach. And also, generally speaking, people that arrive and say to me, I'm not surfing today, just to let you know. Famous last words, because by the end of the session, they're in the water in a wetsuit surfing, and they're generally the ones who are having the most fun because they had no idea of how much fun they could have doing it. So we provide all the equipment and wetsuits, booties, whatever is required, of course, all the surfboards, etc., etc. And you'll find when it's cold, the warmest place to be, mark my words, is in the ocean.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
And so far, what sort of benefits do you think the ocean offers people, particularly people with disabilities? Like when we had a conversation a month or two ago, we spoke about a particular individual that you've seen has just seen so many positive benefits to their mental health from coming down and engaging with you. Could you maybe describe that a little bit more?
Yeah, so look, what's fantastic about surfing and being in the ocean is you're trying something new, you're connecting with others generally, or even if you're not, you're just being in the ocean, which is fantastic therapeutically, as I've mentioned before. And then this leads to a new outlook in life in many respects. So if we look at, say, from a physical point of view, you're doing something that's requiring you to exert energy. You're paddling, you're in the ocean, you're catching waves, and if you're not able to paddle, even just being pushed on a wave, lying on the board, riding it into shore, it's challenging and takes a lot. But from that, there's a sense of accomplishment and you feel confident, and that's fantastic for personal growth because that then rolls out in other aspects of your life. And as I've said to you previously, when we've caught up, that really surfing's the example. What we want is that through what you get from surfing and that confidence, you then take that into your daily life. Now, from the point of view of the mental impacts, well, that's absolutely significant. As I've mentioned, therapeutic. Being in the ocean, it's a calm place. You can find peace, that mental clarity I've discussed. You're also just in an ocean where it's raw and alive and it's moving around and it's energizing. And that too can build significant confidence in your ability to do what's next. And I think also what's really important is surfing's a lifestyle. So you're doing something that's positive, that's active, that's healthy for you, and you're doing it within a community with others and connecting within a community. Going surfing has powerful impacts, especially on people with disabilities that may otherwise not be in a position to make those connections. And that's what's really, really important about surfing, because we're like a surf tribe. Everyone down on the beach is hooting and frothing and stoked to be there, and everyone's stoked with each other. Surfing's personal, you and that wave. When you're out there surfing together, it's just fantastic seeing each other have fun and get waves, and it's great.
Yeah, I think surfing, providing that opportunity for people with disabilities, like the standard support work shift, we'll go to the shops, we'll go to the movies, we'll go to the library, this is something that's exciting. This is something that has a little bit of risk involved. This is something that's out of the box. So I think it's awesome that you're providing this sort of opportunity, because people with disabilities should be able to engage with opportunities outside of their comfort zone, just like the rest of us. To the shops every Saturday, maybe they want to do something that's a little bit out of their comfort zone and something a little bit unusual. So, I think it's awesome. And we spoke about that man with schizophrenia that's come down and surfed with you, and you said the mental health impacts of surfing regularly has just been sort of transformative for him, which is awesome to hear. In terms of the surfing lessons for members of the community and then for people with disabilities, have you do you make many adaptations or changes, like say for that man with schizophrenia or other people with disabilities, or are they relatively the same?
No, absolutely. Every surf lesson and program is tailored specifically to the individual. So it's a personalised approach. What we'll do is before any session, before anyone enters the water, we have them complete a profile and declaration form, and that requires them to provide all details about their medical background, anything else we need to know to make sure that we can then tailor the program to suit their needs. And often that'll involve me meeting with the participant and the guardians, if applicable, to go through that. And then, of course, once we see where they're at and what their swimming abilities are and their prior experience in the ocean, etc., we tailor our program to suit their needs. So, for example, if someone needs more training around swimming or hasn't swum before, they might not get into the ocean for a number of sessions, as we'll do a lot of work around that. And then if they are able to there'll be, a step-by-step tutorial on the land about how we approach that, how we lie on the surfboard, how we stand on the surfboard, depending on if that's going to occur at that session. For some, it might be a matter of just getting on the board and being brought only meters from the water and then spun around and brought back in, or pushed back in on a small wave while they're on their stomach, to others standing tall and absolutely hurting and having a great time. Again, as I've said previously, it's really about them having a fantastic time from the surf experience. Our goal isn't to get people standing up on surfboards like traditional schools. It's about having fun in the ocean.
Okay, so if people have fears around the ocean or challenges, you're sort of approaching it gradually, building trust and confidence by taking those small steps. And if someone doesn't feel comfortable getting in the water, you sort of have some other approaches where you can work up to that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think building trust with your surf mentor, because if you're a person with a disability, you'll definitely at least have one dedicated surf mentor with you at the session, and you may very well have more depending on your circumstances. You need to build trust and rapport, of course, between the surf mentor and the participant, and that's done through making sure everyone's comfortable and aware of what's happening and what's next. But then there's that building trust about what the environment you're in. So that's where a lot of time is spent explaining why we're here and why we're surfing these waves and the rips and what we need to, how do we approach these? And of course, we always do that together. And why we're using this surfboard, what the fins are, why the leg rope's important, and what to do in all these sorts of situations that may arise. So then that allows, of course, participants to build trust in the environment, as I've mentioned to you previously, because at the end of the day, we want to see our participants grow and to become surfers independently. And enjoy the ocean independently. So it needs to be a thorough process. But yes, that's certainly done specific to each individual.
Awesome. And how does it work in practical terms? Do people with disabilities, do they bring a support worker down to the session with you? Do they come by themselves, and then yourself or a surf mentor is there with them, or it's sort of on a case-by-case personalised basis on that person's needs and what they feel comfortable with?
Yeah, Dan, so good question. It is a case-by-case situation, but often if a participant has a relationship with their own support worker that they trust, we invite them certainly to come down to at least the first session and have them be there and even participate if they like, but be there to make sure that the participant's comfortable. That's not to say we ever need the support worker to join, because we'll ensure that there are enough mentors to cater for whoever's attending. Generally speaking, if it's your first session and you're a person with a disability, the session's probably going to be one-on-one. And when I say one-on-one, it'll be with myself and the assistance of another surf mentor that helps me, who I've mentioned to you before. And then we will go through the whole program together. And then when they build confidence, then we'll sort of connect them with others and bring others into the group and sort of grow from there. And then that's where we often see these people being completely comfortable when it gets to the community days. And funnily enough, I'm more nervous about the community days than my participants who are helping out at them, because they've sort of built all this confidence and are ready to go and ready to be at the beach and connect with others, where I'm just thinking, I just want to make sure it all goes perfect and everyone's having fun and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, awesome. And funding to engage with you, that comes from social and community inclusion and access budget, doesn't it, Sascha? And it would need to be for NDIS participants that have plan or self-managed core funding?
Yes, that's right. Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, and what are your sort of future goals for Sascha Surf Experience?
Sorry, Dan, if I can say. Yeah, so we're not a registered provider at the moment for the NDIS, but recently someone who wanted to come and enjoy the surf experience, I still provided them with a session so that they could experience what we're offering, and that they're now invited to regularly continue to come to complimentary sessions, which is every 4 to 6 weeks during those community days. So unfortunately, they're not able to attend regular sessions as they'd like because of the arrangement with NDIS, but they can still come and be part of the surf experience and the community because of those community days that we run.
Okay, awesome. So just because someone has an NDIA managed core budget or doesn't have that support worker community inclusion funding, doesn't mean they necessarily can't engage in some capacity with the surf experience. That's great. Do you have any future goals, Sascha, for Sascha's surf experience? Do you want to grow the business? Do you want to support more people? Where do you see a couple of years for Sascha's surf experience?
Well, not even in a couple of years, in a couple of weeks, we're actually expanding to the Great Southern. So Albany is going to be where we're primarily operating Sascha Surf Experience out of. We'll still be servicing Perth, but what we've seen in these local country towns, that there's a lack of support and community programs for young people and people for all ages for that matter, but certainly for young people with disabilities. So the focus is to provide what we're offering here in Perth there, and to do that with Giles from Soul Studio, who we've been developing programs with, and he's been, fantastic at our surf camps, assisting with the skill building activities. And we want to there develop our programs further from, the surfing side to the confidence that'll roll on into employment and education and enterprise and the like. So that's the immediate next step. Also continuing to grow this community of where people can connect regardless of their circumstances and come and surf. It's been absolutely fantastic seeing after our community sessions where our NDIS participants have been connecting with other surfers, and now they're going for surfs together, etc. It's what we want to see and grow. Being part of a surf community is so important, as I've mentioned, and it makes and just a broader community for all of us, right? When you can have support from each other, you feel confidence to take steps, and you also, find it easier to face challenges. And then finally, going international, taking the surf experience and our participants to some of the hotspots internationally will be a fantastic next step. That's a little down the track, but yeah.
Wow, where are you thinking? Bali? Are you thinking in Bali?
So I did a fantastic surf camp in Indonesia last year at a place called Aura Surf Resort. And I went there hoping that the surf was not too advanced, so it would be appropriate to bring participants. But there are a range of waves there, and it's quite a journey to get there. But I think I haven't found the right destination yet to start with the people at the level of where they are through the surf program, but there are so many places around the world. But Indonesia's a good next step. It's not far, and it's reasonably close. I think we'll put, going to Alaska and surfing waves where icebergs are dropping off down the track a little further.
Yeah, don't count it out, but maybe it's something to explore down the line. And if people want to,
and if you have a good session with us, I want you to be on that trip.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Can you commit to that on your podcast, Dad?
I played the fifth on that one. And if people want to connect with you, Sascha, connect with the community, or just inquire with you about coming down and having a surf, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, look, so on our website, go to our website, have a look at what we're offering, and you can make an inquiry there. You can also email me, info@sashassurfexperience.com.au, that'll work too. And I'm happy for people just to even give me a call on my mobile. And I'm not sure how to share that, but that's available on our website as well. And if you're on social media, which a lot of people are now, I've been getting a lot of inquiries through Messenger on Facebook, message set up through Instagram as well.
Awesome. Oh, thanks so much, Sascha. I really enjoyed our conversation. Love what you're doing at Sascha Surf Experience.
Dan, thank you so much for having me. It's been a fantastic opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks, Sascha. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.